On to sport now, and it's another big night of European football on Tyneside. Newcastle United take on Jose Mourinho's Benfica in the Champions League in just over an hour's time, looking for their first home win of the campaign. And Dawn is there for us now. Dawn.
Yes, Alistair. Eddie Howe and Jose Mourinho are huge admirers of each other, and it seems there are quite a few interesting connections between Newcastle United and Benfica, but we'll come to those in a minute. Newcastle will be favourites. They did lose to Barcelona back in September, but followed it up with a convincing win against Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium earlier this month. That means they're 11th in the table. But Benfica are down in 33rd place, having lost their opening two fixtures. So, how are the fans feeling ahead of tonight's clash?
It's the same after every international break. We never play well after the international break, but we'll come good.
Hopefully. Big Walter Mortar, hat-trick.
He's an upgrade on Isak. I think his ceiling's... we haven't even seen it yet.
Newcastle's a very good team. I feel like they were kind of better last season than they are this season.
All the games we expect to win, but we are not in a good shape.
This stadium is like a huge atmosphere, but we are very confident.
It's been 2 losses, so we really need this win, otherwise it's going to be hard for us to continue.
Yes, well, Newcastle need to get back on the horse quickly after that disappointing defeat at Brighton in the Premier League at the weekend. And frankly, here at St James's Park, you would certainly back them. But this is also a special place for Jose Mourinho because of his close relationship with Sir Bobby Robson. He worked with him for 6 years as his translator and then as assistant at Sporting, at Porto and then at Barcelona. He almost, in fact, came to Tyneside with Robson back in 1999, but instead decided to embark on his own stellar career, and he credits Robson with much of that success. So he admits to feeling a special connection to Sir Bobby being here tonight.
When I walk here, I feel close. When I walk here, I change a few words with him. And it's a great emotion. He took me to Barcelona. That door is a huge door that was only open by Sir Bobby. The second thing is what I've learned at the football level and at the human level. And the third thing was the trust that he put in myself. I tried to pay with everything that I gave, and what did I give him? I don't know. I only know that I gave everything I had, and that for me is enough.
He's someone that I hugely admire. Having come up against him before in the Premier League and admired the teams that he built at Chelsea in particular. I thought definitely a visionary, someone that broke the mould really in terms of how you manage, and incredible really what he's achieved in his career. So I think it's always a great opportunity for any club to go up against one of his teams. And yeah, looking forward to the challenge immensely, and I think it's going to be a great game.
Apologies for the hood, but it is starting to pour down here. Jose Mourinho's story, of course, is very well known. But did you know that one of Benfica's most successful managers is from just down the road in Washington? Jim Scott has the story.
Manager Jimmy Hagan gives them advice based on experience as an England-class inside forward years ago.
He's regarded as one of sport's forgotten heroes.
Watch Jimmy Hagan, number 10. He played a brilliant game.
A man who got the taste of football on a school playing field in Washington. Jimmy Hagan would go on to put a few miles between him and the Northeast, becoming Benfica's man in 1970.
He had the second highest win rate in Benfica's history at 78%, which was absolutely excellent. And then he goes on again in the next year to win the league and the Portuguese Cup. And then the third year, he wins the league again. That is probably one of the greatest successes by a British ball manager on the continent.
His journey started in Usworth, later finding himself at Sheffield United and then as the manager to take Peterborough into the Football League, a major role before going to Portugal. But despite the success overseas, he couldn't give up Washington completely, visiting family and friends now and then, something Ken remembers like yesterday.
I'll have been about 10, 11 years of age, and I was walking up the street with my uncle Stevie. We bumped into this gentleman, beautifully turned out, fantastic tan, the type you didn't get in Washington. My Uncle Stevie obviously knew him, started chatting with him, and then asked me Uncle Stevie, who was that? And he says, that is a guy called Jimmy Hagan, and he is the manager of Benfica Football Club. Which was like, wow, Eusebio?
Eusebio did honour his former boss in Sheffield, unveiling a statue of Hagan at the turn of the century. But incredibly, nothing like that exists in the town that gave the world a true legend.
Probably the second greatest after Bobby Robson.
Hagan slips him a pass.
Jim Scott, BBC Look North, Washington.
Incredible. And Jimmy Hagan's dad, Alfie, played for Newcastle United between 1919 and 1923. Amazing. Well, our Newcastle United commentator, Matthew Raisbeck, joins us now. Matthew, were you aware of the Hagans? Were they on your radar? They certainly weren't on mine.
I have to be honest, no, but just watching that report there, what a wonderful story.
It really, really is. So Newcastle looking for their second win in the competition. What does it mean in a wider sense after losing to Brighton in the Premier League?
They've had a frustrating start to the season. I think they're a team in transition. There were a number of departures in the summer, 6 new signings. They're still trying to integrate them. They've played well at times, but results have been mixed so far. They've done well in the Champions League, though, in terms of performances. Another win tonight, if they can get it, would give them a great chance of reaching the knockout round.
Yeah, and, you know, Newcastle favourites, but Benfica are improving under Jose Mourinho, and he's been to St James's Park so many times, he knows exactly what to expect, doesn't he?
He's always brought top teams here, but his record's surprisingly bad. He's only won 3 out of 12 previous visits. He has a deep affection for Newcastle because of his time working with the great Sir Bobby Robson, and although he's not had the better of it here, he said yesterday St James's Park is a beautiful place to play football.
And I think it's fair to say he brings a bit of glamour as well, doesn't he, Mourinho?
He's box office. He's one of the best, still one of the biggest and best managers around.
Matthew, thank you very much. And you can hear Matthew's commentary on BBC Radio Newcastle and see the highlights on our late bulletin. Just to mention for another of the city's teams who's in European action tonight, Newcastle Eagles play the Polish side Dziki Varsova in the ENBL. Alistair.
Thank you very much, Dawn.